Hey everybody, welcome to video 2 of the Guitar Chords 101 course, and in this video I'm going to be discussing note intervals. Having a good grasp of note intervals is required not only so you can form chords more easily, but also just so you can become more knowledgeable about your instrument and become a more accomplished musician in general. An interval is defined as the distance in pitch between two notes. And let's start out with a little review of how we measure these intervals. In the last video I discussed the term whole step and half step, and just remember that a half step is equal to 1 fret and a whole step is equal to 2 frets. So here we have a look at the fretboard here, and when it comes to note intervals, we measure them using half steps and whole steps. To start out, I'm going to demonstrate note intervals on a single string of a guitar. We'll just use the C note here as our root note. And we'll use the 5th string of the guitar, and we're going to be looking at frets 3 through 15. So it's going to cover a 12 fret span here. And this will allow us to look at every interval in a 1 octave span. And in Western music, there are 12 equally spaced notes. When I say Western, I mean the Western part of the world. And this is sometimes called the chromatic scale. These 12 notes is called the chromatic scale. But the more scientific name is 12-tone equal temperament, or to abbreviate 12 TET. And if you're interested in learning more about music intervals, I suggest you just go to Wikipedia and run a search for music intervals and go to town and just start reading. And you can learn all you ever want to know about intervals and more. I mean, it's not essential to know this to learn how to play the guitar, but if you want to get more nerdy about music and just sound in general, you could pretty much get lost over on Wikipedia learning all this stuff. It's very interesting. Okay, so getting back to the guitar, we'll start by looking at that single string, and then we'll progress into going vertical on the fretboard and learning more practical intervals that we can use to form chords. But right now we're just going to go horizontal on a single string, just to get familiar with these intervals. When we start to go the other way, go vertical, that's going to allow us to go beyond a single octave. That's when we're going to get into playing those ninths and 11ths and 13ths that are so common in the jazz world. Okay, so let's just start from the beginning here, and I'm going to run down all 12 notes on frets 3 through 15 of this 5th string. And this will put us in the key of C. The same intervals are going to apply to any 12 fret span on the single string of the guitar. And here they are. So 1 half step away is a minor second. 2 half steps away is a major second. 3 half steps is a minor third. 4 half steps is a major third. 5 half steps is called a perfect fourth, because it's not major, it's not minor, it's just simply a fourth. 6 half steps away it can be a diminished fifth or an augmented fourth. And this note is also called a tritone. And the reason it's called a tritone is because it's simply 3 whole tones away from the root. So it's 3 whole steps or 3 tones away from the root. If we go 7 half steps away from the root, we have a perfect fifth. And you might be wondering why the 4th and the 5th intervals don't have major or minor qualities, but rather diminished or augmented. And the short answer is that when you raise or lower a perfect interval by a half step, it's called diminished or augmented, not major or minor. If that puzzles you, I would suggest you go over to Wikipedia and start reading about intervals. You can find all the answers you need to know over there and more. So just remember that 4ths and 5ths are not major or minor. They're just going to be diminished or augmented. And so having said that, let's move on here. 8 half steps away is a minor 6th or an augmented 5th. 9 half steps away is a major 6th. 10 half steps away is a minor 7th. 11 half steps is a major 7th. And then 12 half steps away from the root note is the tonic, or 1 octave above the root note. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the intervals of all 12 notes on a single string of the guitar within 1 octave. And if you're totally unfamiliar with all this, watch this video another time or two. Make sure you understand these intervals and concepts here. So next we're going to get into how to represent these intervals on a music staff, and we'll also look at a little more practical way to play these intervals on the fretboard, like we talked about earlier. So I look forward to talking to you then, and thanks for watching.